Relationships are complex and love is multifaceted, yet one aspect that often goes unnoticed, neglected, or even avoided in conversations about love is the role of physical intimacy. There's a common belief that love is sustained through communication, respect, and shared values. While those are undeniably crucial, one fundamental element is often overlooked: intimacy. More specifically, the lack of it. The problem with this silence is simple. A lack of sex in a relationship doesn't just impact the body. It silently and steadily erodes the emotional connection between two people. At first, it may seem insignificant, perhaps just a few nights where neither partner feels the desire, or a phase when life simply feels too busy to focus on each other. But over time, this absence of physical intimacy creates a distance that isn't easily bridged. The bond that once thrived on touch, affection, and shared moments of vulnerability starts to wither away. The absence of physical intimacy in a relationship often begins as something small, perhaps imperceptible at first. Life gets busy, work demands attention, and the stresses of daily living begin to overshadow the more intimate aspects of a partnership. Over time, what was once a natural and essential part of the relationship slowly begins to fade, often unnoticed. This quiet erosion of connection is one of the most dangerous aspects of a relationship's decline. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a subtle, creeping phenomenon that erodes the bond between two people, one unspoken moment at a time. At the start of any relationship, intimacy is often abundant. It's not just about sex, but the closeness and vulnerability that come with it. There's an energy between partners that feels effortless and natural, a connection that seems invincible. However, as time goes on, distractions grow, priorities shift, and that initial spark may dim. When physical intimacy starts to fade, it's easy to brush it off as just a phase. We're just too busy, you might say, or we'll get back to it once things settle down. But the danger lies in allowing this absence to continue unchecked, because each missed moment of connection, each ignored need, starts to wear away at something far deeper than just physical touch. Sexual intimacy is not merely a physical act. It's a deep, non-verbal form of communication. It's the expression of trust, affection, and love without saying a word. I seek tease a reminder that you are seen, valued, and desired. When this communication is no longer present, couples begin to lose a significant part of their bond. The act itself might seem like a small thing in the grand scheme of life, but it serves as a powerful reminder of the emotional closeness that exists between partners. Without it, partners may feel isolated in a relationship that they once felt so deeply connected to. The silence created by a lack of intimacy speaks volumes, but often it's a silence that neither partner is ready to address. As this physical disconnect grows, the emotional distance follows. The two are closely linked. When you stop sharing physical intimacy, the emotional connection that once felt so secure begins to feel distant. Conversations may become more transactional than meaningful. Small gestures of affection may feel less genuine. And those moments of vulnerability, the very things that create deep emotional bonds, start to disappear. What was once a partnership rooted in mutual care, trust, and affection may start to feel like a hollow routine, a life shared without truly being present for one another. In the absence of the physical, partners may begin to feel more like roommates than lovers, existing side by side but emotionally miles apart. This erosion of connection doesn't happen all at once. It starts small, with a missed opportunity for intimacy here and there, and grows into a larger, more pervasive problem. At first, it may feel like an insignificant change, easily explainable away by the demands of work or the busyness of life. But as time passes, the underlying problem becomes harder to ignore. It creates a quiet, creeping resentment. One partner may feel neglected or undesired, while the other may feel frustrated, confused, or even ashamed. The longer these feelings are left unaddressed, the more difficult it becomes to repair the damage done. The erosion of the connection is silent but profound, and its consequences can be devastating. It's not just the absence of sex that causes this erosion. It's the lack of attention to each other's emotional needs. Intimacy isn't just about a physical act. It's about creating space for each other, being emotionally available, and communicating in ways that foster connection. Without these things, partners begin to feel disconnected, lonely, and misunderstood. The erosion doesn't just affect the relationship itself, it begins to affect the individuals within it, leading to feelings of insecurity, self-doubt, and emotional withdrawal. The truth is, relationships don't thrive on autopilot. They require attention, care, and effort from both partners. When intimacy begins to fade, it's a signal that the relationship needs to be nurtured, that the emotional and physical connection needs to be reignited. Ignoring the issue only allows the erosion to continue, and eventually it can lead to a breaking point where the connection is so weakened that it feels impossible to restore. Recognizing the silent erosion of connection is the first step toward healing it. It requires both partners to acknowledge the distance that has formed and to take intentional steps to rebuild the intimacy that has been lost. This might involve difficult conversations, vulnerability, and a willingness to be honest about unmet needs. But without addressing the issue head on, the erosion will continue quietly until it becomes a deep chasm that is nearly impossible to bridge. By taking proactive steps to reconnect, a couple can begin to reverse the erosion, strengthening the foundation of their relationship and allowing it to flourish once more. Sex is often viewed merely as a physical act, something that happens between two people in the privacy of a bedroom. But when you look deeper, you'll see that it is far more than just a way to satisfy a biological need. At its core, sex is a powerful tool for communication. It's an intimate language, one that allows partners to express emotions, desires, and vulnerabilities that may be difficult, if not impossible, to communicate through words alone. This form of communication is unique because it transcends verbal expression, creating a connection that is felt rather than spoken. In many relationships, sex is the space where partners can fully let down their guards and truly be vulnerable with each other. This vulnerability is a form of communication in itself. It's the ability to show up fully as yourself without fear of judgment or rejection. When a couple is able to share this intimacy, it fosters a sense of trust and understanding that can't easily be replicated by conversations. It's an opportunity to express affection, desire, and emotional closeness in a way that feels deeply personal and authentic. Through touch, eye contact, and physical presence, partners are able to communicate their feelings in a manner that feels more intimate and genuine than words can convey. When sex is absent in a relationship, however, this powerful form of communication is silenced. Over time, this lack of nonverbal connection creates a void between partners. Communication begins to break down, not because the desire to connect is gone, but because the means of doing so have been neglected. The couple might continue to talk about their days, their plans, and their thoughts, but without the intimacy of sex to complement their verbal exchanges, the relationship begins to feel less connected. Emotional expressions through touch and closeness are replaced with words that may not fully capture the depth of what each partner feels. This disconnect creates an unspoken distance that becomes more difficult to bridge as time passes. Sex also plays a significant role in expressing care and appreciation. In healthy relationships, sex is often an act that reflects the love, respect, and admiration two people have for each other. It's a way to physically demonstrate affection, to show that you value your partner and are willing to be fully present with them. When this physical intimacy is no longer part of the relationship, partners may start to feel unloved or undervalued. The absence of sex can signal, even unintentionally, that the emotional connection is not as strong as it once was. It can create feelings of rejection, neglect, or insecurity as the physical intimacy that once reinforced the emotional bond is no longer there to reaffirm feelings of love and affection. Moreover, sex communicates more than just affection. It also communicates need and desire. In a relationship, physical intimacy is one of the few ways partners can express their desires and needs in a safe and intimate setting. It's where people can explore their deepest desires without the fear of judgment or misunderstanding. This level of openness allows couples to become more attuned to each other's needs, both physical and emotional. It creates a space for partners to explore what makes them feel valued and understood. When this form of communication is absent, couples may struggle to understand each other's deeper needs. The lack of physical intimacy often means that one or both partners feel unheard, and that leads to a breakdown in connection. Additionally, sex can be an essential tool for resolving conflict in a relationship. When two people are able to reconnect physically, it helps to release built-up tension and stress, easing emotional strain. After a disagreement or a period of tension, sex can act as a form of reconciliation, helping partners to physically and emotionally reconnect. It allows both individuals to let go of the frustrations or grievances they might have been carrying and fosters a sense of unity and mutual understanding. The act of coming together physically communicates forgiveness, peace, and the willingness to move past challenges. Without this, couples may find themselves stuck in unresolved conflicts, unable to reconnect on a deeper level. When intimacy begins to fade in a relationship, the absence of sex as a tool for communication can have a profound effect. Partners may feel increasingly distant, unable to express their desires or needs in a way that resonates with the other person. This lack of connection can lead to frustration and misunderstandings, as emotional and physical needs remain unmet. The longer this goes unaddressed, the more the relationship suffers. Conversations about what's missing can feel awkward or challenging, and the emotional distance only grows. Reconnecting through sex is not just about physical pleasure, it's about restoring a fundamental form of communication. It's about finding a way to express feelings, desires, and needs that go beyond what words can capture. For a relationship to thrive, both partners must be willing to nurture this form of communication. By engaging in this shared vulnerability, partners can rebuild the intimacy that may have been lost, strengthening their bond in ways that words alone cannot. And when sex is treated as a tool for connection, it becomes more than just an act. It becomes a bridge between two hearts, a way of communicating on a deeper, more meaningful level. Unspoken needs in a relationship can be incredibly dangerous, yet they are often one of the most overlooked sources of disconnection between partners. It's easy to assume that if something is important, it will naturally be communicated, but the reality is that many emotional, physical, or psychological are left unaddressed because they remain unspoken. This silence doesn't just reflect a lack of communication, it creates a deep, often invisible rift in the relationship that can cause long-term damage. The danger lies in the assumption that ignoring these needs will somehow resolve themselves, when in fact it only allows the problem to fester and grow. The first danger of unspoken needs is that they create confusion and misunderstanding. When one partner's needs go unspoken, the other partner is left to guess what might be wrong. Without clear communication, assumptions are made, and these assumptions are often inaccurate. For example, a person might assume that their partner doesn't want physical intimacy anymore, or that they don't care about spending quality time together, when in fact, those are the very things that person desperately needs. When these needs are unspoken, partners can feel as though they are giving everything they have, only to find that their efforts are not meeting the other's expectations. This creates a cycle of frustration and disappointment as both people feel misunderstood and emotionally neglected, even though their needs might be completely different. The second danger is that unspoken needs often lead to unmet expectations. In relationships, people develop expectations based on what they need or want from their partner. However, when these expectations are not communicated, they remain unrealized. The partner with unspoken needs begins to feel neglected, frustrated, and disconnected, while the other partner may have no idea that anything is wrong. Over time, the accumulation of unmet expectations can lead to resentment. Resentment is one of the most corrosive emotions in any relationship. It builds slowly, quietly, and often without either person realizing its presence until it's too late. Once resentment takes root, it becomes much harder to communicate openly and honestly because the emotional distance that it creates clouds the ability to approach the situation with vulnerability or clarity. Additionally, unspoken needs create emotional distance. Relationships thrive on mutual understanding and emotional intimacy, both of which require honest communication. When one partner's needs are left unsaid, it becomes impossible for the other partner to meet them, and the emotional connection between the two weakens. The partner who is unable to express their needs may start to feel unseen or unloved. Over time, this emotional disconnect grows. The longer the silence continues, the more difficult it becomes to bridge the gap that's been created. The absence of emotional intimacy leads to a feeling of isolation, and what was once a close, connected relationship begins to feel more like two people living parallel lives, each with their own unmet needs, frustrations, and longings. Unspoken needs can also impact the overall health of the relationship. When these needs are not addressed, they begin to erode the trust that holds the relationship together. Trust is built on the ability to be honest and open, to share fears, desires, and concerns with one another, but when one partner withholds their needs, it can feel like a betrayal. Even if no malicious intent is behind it, the other partner may feel as though they are being kept in the dark. Or worse, that they are not truly known. This lack of transparency chips away at the foundation of trust, making it harder to maintain a deep, meaningful connection. Moreover, unspoken needs create a barrier to problem solving and growth in the relationship. Problems that go unspoken are never truly addressed, and therefore they never have the opportunity to be solved. This leaves both partners feeling stuck. Rather than working together to resolve an issue, they remain in a state of tension or frustration, unable to move forward because they are not operating from a place of mutual understanding. The longer the problem remains unaddressed, the more entrenched the relationship becomes in a state of stagnation. Emotional intimacy is the invisible thread that binds two people together, forming the foundation upon which any healthy relationship stands. Unlike physical intimacy, which is often more easily understood and defined, emotional intimacy is a deeper, more nuanced connection that involves the sharing of feelings, vulnerabilities, fears, and dreams. It's the space where two people feel seen, heard, and valued for who they truly are. Without emotional intimacy, a relationship is like a house built on sand. Everything may seem fine on the surface, but it's fragile and easily swept away by the challenges of life. The essence of emotional intimacy lies in the ability to connect with one another on a level that transcends surface-level interactions. It's the conversations that go beyond small talk and casual pleasantries, where partners open up about their hopes, regrets, and deepest desires. In emotionally intimate relationships, both individuals are willing to expose parts of themselves that are often kept hidden from the rest of the world. This vulnerability fosters a sense of trust and safety, allowing each partner to feel secure in the knowledge that they are accepted and loved for their authentic selves. One of the key aspects of emotional intimacy is communication. In a relationship where emotional intimacy thrives, communication is open, honest, and free of judgment. Each partner feels comfortable expressing their thoughts and emotions without fear of being ridiculed or misunderstood. This level of openness creates a deep sense of connection. As both individuals are able to share their internal worlds with one another, it allows for a deeper understanding of each other's needs, desires, and boundaries, which is crucial for maintaining a healthy, balanced relationship. The ability to communicate openly also fosters empathy, which is another cornerstone of emotional intimacy. When partners are emotionally intimate, they are able to empathize with one another's experiences and feelings. This doesn't necessarily mean agreeing with everything the other person says or does, but it means acknowledging their emotions and validating their experience. Emotional intimacy creates a safe space where each person can express their struggles, triumphs, and everything in between, knowing that their partner will listen with compassion and understanding. The ripple effect in relationships is a profound and often underestimated phenomenon. It describes how one action, one word, or one decision can create far-reaching consequences, subtly influencing not just the people directly involved, but the environment around them as well. In the context of relationships, this ripple effect can shape the dynamics between partners, the way they interact with others, and even how they view themselves. What starts as a seemingly small moment or decision can have lasting impacts, spreading outward and affecting all aspects of life, often in ways that go unnoticed until much later. At its core, the ripple effect is based on the understanding that every action we take, no matter how small, carries consequences. In relationships, even the most minor interaction can set off a chain of events. For instance, when a couple has a disagreement, it doesn't just impact the two of them in that moment. The way they handle the conflict will affect their emotional state, their sense of trust, and their overall connection. If the conflict is resolved with understanding, empathy, and communication, the ripple effect can strengthen the relationship, making both individuals feel more secure and connected. However, if the conflict is mishandled or left unresolved, the ripple effect can create emotional distance, breeding resentment and misunderstanding that linger long after the disagreement is forgotten. The ripple effect extends far beyond the immediate relationship. How we behave in our intimate partnerships can influence the way we engage with friends, family, and even colleagues. When we feel loved, valued, and emotionally supported in our relationships, we tend to radiate positivity. We are more likely to offer kindness, patience, and compassion to others, creating a nurturing environment wherever we go. Conversely, if we experience negativity or emotional neglect in our relationships, this can manifest in how we interact with the world around us. A person who feels emotionally unfulfilled or disconnected may carry that frustration into their social interactions, unintentionally creating a ripple of tension, anxiety, or disengagement in other areas of their life. The energy we bring to our relationships doesn't stay contained. It inevitably spills over into all the spaces we inhabit. Reclaiming what was lost is a deeply transformative process that touches the heart of both individual and relational healing. In life, we often experience moments where something precious is lost, whether it's trust, love, respect, or a sense of self. These losses can stem from conflicts, betrayals, misunderstandings, or even just the passage of time. While such losses can feel devastating, they also present an opportunity for growth, reconnection, and renewal. Reclaiming what was lost is not about trying to return to a previous version of ourselves or a relationship that existed before the loss. Instead, it's about rebuilding what was once meaningful understanding the lessons it offers, and moving forward with a stronger sense of purpose and connection. One of the first steps in reclaiming what was lost is acknowledging the loss itself. It's easy to avoid confronting painful truths or to pretend that everything is fine when something important has been broken. However, true healing begins when we give ourselves the space to mourn the loss and fully understand what it means for us. Whether the loss is of a relationship, a personal value, or a piece of our identity, it's essential to allow ourselves to feel the grief, frustration, or sadness that comes with it. Only by fully embracing these emotions can we begin the process of healing and eventually reclaiming what was lost. The next step in reclaiming what was lost is understanding how it happened. Loss doesn't occur in a vacuum. There are always underlying causes that contribute to it. In relationships, for example, trust may erode due to repeated misunderstandings or unmet needs. In personal development, a sense of self-worth might diminish after a series of negative experiences. Recognizing the patterns and behaviors that led to the loss helps us make sense of the situation and avoid repeating the same mistakes. This self-awareness is essential for rebuilding what was once strong and finding ways to approach the situation differently going forward. It also allows us to identify areas of growth, helping us to move forward with a clearer sense of purpose. Reclaiming what was lost is also a process of self-compassion and forgiveness. When something precious is lost, it's easy to place blame, whether on ourselves or others. We may feel guilt or shame, wondering how things could have turned out differently. However, this self-blame often keeps us stuck in the past, preventing us from healing. Forgiving ourselves for our perceived shortcomings and letting go of guilt is an essential part of reclaiming what was lost. It's also crucial to extend this forgiveness to others involved in the loss. Holding on to anger or resentment only prolongs the pain and makes it harder to move on. In forgiving, we free ourselves from the grip of past hurts and open the door to a future where healing can take place. Reclaiming what was lost also involves taking responsibility for the present and the future. It's easy to become trapped in the cycle of loss, focusing solely on what was taken or broken. However, reclaiming what was lost requires us to take active steps toward rebuilding. This could mean engaging in open, honest communication to repair a relationship, setting boundaries to protect our emotional well-being, or taking steps to rebuild our self-esteem and sense of identity. Reclamation is not a passive process. It requires action, commitment, and a willingness to do the hard work of healing. It's about making choices that honor what we've learned from the past and create the foundation for a stronger, more resilient future. In relationships, reclaiming what was lost often requires rebuilding trust. Trust is one of the most fragile aspects of any relationship, and when it's broken, it can feel impossible to restore. However, it is possible to rebuild trust through consistent, transparent actions that demonstrate reliability and care. This process involves being patient, acknowledging past mistakes, and showing a genuine commitment to change. Both partners must be willing to work toward regaining the trust that was lost, understanding that it's a gradual process that requires effort from both sides. Rebuilding trust is a delicate balance of vulnerability, honesty, and consistency. Though it may take time, when trust is rebuilt, it strengthens the relationship in profound ways. Reclaiming what was lost also involves redefining what is possible. Often, when we experience a significant loss, we can feel as though the best version of our lives or relationships is behind us. However, true reclamation requires us to look forward, not backward. It's about recognizing that even after loss, there is potential for growth and transformation. We may not be able to return to the past, but we can create something new and beautiful in its place. This might involve setting new goals, developing new perspectives, or fostering new ways of relating to others. By shifting our focus from what was lost to what is possible, we create room for new beginnings and fresh opportunities for growth. Reclaiming what was lost is also about embracing the lessons that come with loss. Every experience of loss, while painful, carries with it wisdom that can guide us in the future. Through loss, we learn about our resilience, our capacity for forgiveness, and our ability to adapt. We learn what is truly important to us and what we are willing to fight for. We also learn about the nature of love and connection, how they can be fragile, but also how they can be rebuilt and strengthened over time. The lessons of loss, when fully embraced, make us more capable of handling future challenges and give us the tools to create deeper, more meaningful connections with others. Ultimately, reclaiming what was lost is an act of courage and hope. It's about taking the pain of loss and using it as fuel for transformation. It requires us to be vulnerable, to face difficult truths, and to trust that even in the face of hardship, healing is possible. Reclamation is not about trying to erase the past, but about creating something new and stronger from it. It's a reminder that loss, while painful, does not define us. It is the steps we take to reclaim what was lost that shape our future and allow us to grow beyond the wounds we once carried.